Welcome to the She Lives podcast, a show for women who want to live a happier life while tackling their goals along the way. Want to learn more about what we talked about today? Visit our website, shelivespodcast.com. Now here's your host, Michelle Hancock.
Wow, doesn't that music just get you going? I know it does for me. Welcome, and I am thrilled to finally share this podcast with you all. But before we get started with the fabulous Carrie Lindsay, I want to say thank you to everyone who has supported me through this podcast process. It truly has been a labor of love, a little bit of a learning curve, and a long time coming. I can't think of a better guest to kick off this podcast with than Carrie Lindsay. She knows how to set goals and make them happen through planners and vision boards. And I am a true believer in what she's teaching. As a matter of fact, this podcast did not come to light until I wrote down realistic, smaller goals and a plan of action. Before then, I was truly lost in my own thoughts and completely overwhelmed. But enough about me. Let's dive in and get started and learn more from Carrie. Carrie Lindsay is a Dallas blogger and small business owner. She is a wife and mom of two who also has two dogs named Teddy and Snoopy, a horse named Seamus, and two miniature donkeys named Donkey and Harry. She blogs over at carriel.com where you can find craft ideas, free printables, simple recipes, and fun planning tips. She also wrote a book called Make Anything Happen, and it's all about putting your practical plans in use to reach your dreams. So, hi, Carrie. Thank you for being on the podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great, and I'm super excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited to have you on as well. I think this is the perfect time to talk about goal setting and how to achieve them in a practical way. I mean, let's be honest, as women, we probably have a million different things we want to accomplish, but not so much time, and that's always a struggle. So before we get to that, though, tell me about yourself and a little bit how you got into this realm of goals and vision boards and all this fun planning stuff.
Well, I kind of feel like it starts back when I was little. When I was a kid, I would always I was really involved in 4-H. So I had like my horse that I did 4-H with. And with 4-H, you have to do record keeping, like really strict. They have very detailed records that you keep. But the information that they gave me, even when I was 13 years old or 14 years old, it wasn't detailed enough. And so I made all my own records for my record books to keep track of all this like kind of silly stuff with my horse. And I would do it on a typewriter, not because I'm like that old that we didn't have a computer, but it just had to be typed. It couldn't be like dot matrix style. I've always been making my own records and plans and planning and setting goals. And then that kind of just turned into a job, I guess.
That is amazing. When your passion can turn into a job. Tell me a little bit about that experience.
When we moved to Dallas, I'm from San Diego originally. We moved to Texas, to East Texas, and I started working in the insurance industry. So I was like the insurance girl. So when you get your new insurance benefits and they come and explain it to you and tell you all about your insurance, I was that girl. So I had no insurance experience before that at all, but I became the insurance lady. And when I had my son in 2008, it was just really hard. I was commuting. I had a really long drive, getting into work every day, and I had a bunch of animals, even more animals then, and they were all at my house. And it was hard. And so I kind of went back to part-time. And then when my daughter was born in 2011 and we moved closer to Dallas and downsized a little bit, I thought I'm just not going to work for a while because, like, as you know, the cost of childcare, if you're going to be working out of the house full time, is expensive. And so it kind of worked out that if I stayed home, that was fine for a while. So I stayed home, but then I kind of got bored, and I had this blog that I started in 2006. I should say I wasn't bored. Like, it's not boring. There's stuff to do all day long when you're staying at home with little kids. So I don't think I was
Definitely
bored. But I mean, I missed having some sort of, I missed community and having a creative space and, just kind of the things that I got from a job. So I had a blog that I had started in 2006, and I kind of restarted it. And I started to take it more and more seriously. And it evolved from just like a little story about my week home with the kids into what it is now.
Yeah, I definitely love how you have all these free resources for people and game plans for moms or women in general that don't even know where to start. So this is a good question on, so how do we set ourselves up for success when it comes to setting goals and achieving them? What is the first step?
I think the first step is to define what it is that you want. So once you know what you want, then you can define your goal. So I know what I want, then I know what my goal is going to be. And then from there, I always tell people to break it down into itty bitty little itty bitty goals. So if you want to lose 50 pounds, your goal is to lose 50 pounds, but your goal this week or this month is to lose 1 pound. And those little goals add up over time. Those little tiny steps that feel like nothing, we feel like we're not making progress. Those accumulate and those add up, and that is how we finally reach our big goals.
Oh, that's a good idea. So, what if we want to do too many things? Is there a way that we can start being a little bit more realistic? And we always want to take on a lot in our lives. I know I do, and
Yeah.
it's been a hard truth, especially having kids. It's like,
Yeah.
how do we fit all this in one day? And sometimes you have to let some things go. So, how do you know what to let go?
Yeah. So that's a great question. And I'm probably not the best person to answer it because I want to do all the things too. But what I have learned is to let things go. And if you can let things go and focus on one thing at a time, you can get all those goals accomplished. You can get all those things done. You're just not going to be accomplishing them all at the same time. So, for example, I think I realized when my kids were little, and I would go online and I would see these beautiful blogs of these established bloggers that have been doing it for a long time. And I would feel like mine's never going to look like that. There's 100 things I have to do to have a pretty blog. I have to learn how to take pictures. I have to learn social media. I have to manage all the social media. I mean, just using this little blog world, right, as kind of an example, right, within your
It's
blog, it's
overwhelming for
overwhelming.
sure.
There's 100 things you have to do just to keep it running and to keep it going. And so what I did back then and what I still do now is I thought, okay, the only thing I have to worry about right now is just putting content out. Like that's it. That's all I've got to do is put out my content. And then the rest will build, and I'll have more time as the kids get older and these things will change and there will be more flexibility. And I always have 100 things I want to do, always. But what I try to do is to pick my one thing that I'm working on right now or the one thing that I'm trying to do today. And that's all I worry about is the one thing right now today that I have to do. And it, again, just comes back to
Love
those little
that.
tiny goals. It's just, and if something's not sitting right, this is the other thing I always tell people and tell myself. If it's not sitting right with you, if you're not interested in anymore, if it's too much work, and if you hear yourself saying, this is more work than it's worth, then just let it go. Just let it go.
Oh, yes, and the voice of Elsa, let it
Yep,
go.
exactly.
Yeah. So in your book, Make Anything Happen, you provide tips on how to create a vision board, and then you also have some guided worksheets. Now, for me, I've made vision boards for a while, and I love it. I'm a very visual person, but maybe for somebody that has never done one, or even those that have done one, can you kind of explain what a vision board is and how it all works?
It can be so many things. I don't want people to get stuck thinking that it has to be one thing or it has to look a certain way. But typically, a vision board is where you put your vision for the future, your dreams or your goals, what you want to accomplish, the life you want to live, how you want to feel. It can be any or all of those things on one board or one paper or one page, which that's one way to do it, to put it all on one. You can make separate ones also. But what you do is when you put this onto a board, you use pictures and images and words and meaningful things that you might have around the house, like photos of places you want to go or people that are important to you, or you can decorate them, you can make them pretty, and it's just a way for you to that's what I'm looking for, to make it concrete. So all those visions and those ideas that are floating around in your head, you sit down and you dedicate yourself however much time it takes to get it done. And then it's there in front of you on paper, and you can pick it up and look at it and hold it in your hands. And it's a different experience than when you just have these things floating around in your head.
No, I love it. Last year, we had a little retreat with some other women, and we all sat around. We cracked up because we had to go out and actually purchase some magazines because we didn't have any. But
Oh, if you ever need
but it was
magazines, I have
fun.
so many, so I will give you all the magazines.
Oh, good. Well, I'll come get them
Yeah,
from you.
yeah.
But we've really bonded over that. I know that sounds kind of cheesy, and I'm not saying that you have to do it with a group of people. I know there are some married folks that do it together,
Mm-hmm.
or if you want it to be a solo thing, that's fine too. But we really enjoyed sharing our goals with each other and then having something to come home to. And mine, I will say not all of them came true, but a good majority of my vision goals it manifested into something. So I believe in it.
Oh yeah, completely. And
From
even
my
the ones that
personal experience.
haven't come true, they still might, right? It's not that they're just
Yeah.
never going to come true.
Yeah, or maybe your goals changed,
Yeah,
and that's kind of fun to look back and be like, you know what, maybe I didn't really want that, but I thought I did, and
right.
that's okay if I didn't. Now, there are some non-creative people out there that probably are a little intimidated by vision boards, and what do you want to say to those people?
So we all have something creative inside of us. So it's really easy to get stuck on what creative looks like or what you think creative should look like. And so I consider myself pretty creative, but I have a friend that's like a gorgeous, amazing artist. And so whenever I do something with her, if I'm drawing and doodling with her, or if we were to make vision boards together, right? I would look at hers and I would think like, why do I even bother? Hers is so much better. And so I always tell people it doesn't matter what your neighbor's doing. If we're doing a vision board party, that's a great place to find inspiration. But if you're not creative, or if you don't feel like you're creative in a way that you can make visually, beautiful things that you have maybe in your head, that's okay. You can use words. That's why magazines are great, right? You can cut out pictures. You don't have to draw anything.
Definitely.
Somebody told me once, she's like, I want to make a vision board, but I'm afraid it's going to look like an 8th grade serial killer made it. And I thought that was so funny because you know exactly what she means when she says that, right? You can totally picture it.
Yes, the letters
Yes,
and like a
totally.
ransom note.
Exactly. And I thought that was so funny. And I was like, well, don't let that stop you. It's okay. The other thing is for people that are more, if you're not someone that you don't feel artistic, you don't want to draw, you don't want to be cutting stuff out of magazines or using pictures. I have a bunch of templates on my website that are free that just have places to fill in, like, here's what I'm going to do this year. Here's how I'm going to feel. So it's the same kind of thing, but you don't have to feel like you're decorating it, if that makes sense.
Oh, I like that. So it simplifies it for those that maybe don't have the time
Yeah.
or talent.
Yeah.
But you know what? Art is so subjective. I
So
mean, I'm
subjective.
sure it's going to be beautiful to somebody, and if it's not,
Right.
who cares?
Right. Exactly.
Just get it on a piece of paper
That's all you need.
for
It just needs
sure.
to be on paper. Like just the act of putting it down, like you said, when you see things start to manifest, just the act of putting it down, you're telling the universe, okay, this is what I want to happen to me. Versus, if you sit there and if you're afraid to put it on paper because it's not going to look perfect, which a lot of us with perfectionist tendencies are like that. And I totally get it. But if you're afraid to put it down and make it official, or you keep putting it off because you want to look a certain way, then you're basically telling the universe and telling yourself that you're afraid, right? And that's not what you want to put out. So all that matters is that you get it down somewhere.
Oh, I love that. So where do you store your vision board? Do you have it out for you to see every day, or do you kind of keep it hidden? What do you have any opinions on that?
So I like to do a little 8.5 by 11 one. So it's not crazy. It's not too big. And I will usually just fold it up and stick it in my planner. So it's in the back of my planner. Or if sometimes I use a bigger planner that's 8.5 by 11 and it fits in the pocket. So that's one way you can do
Hmm.
it. A lot of people will hang them up. I was at a crafty place making vision boards last week, and so all the people that were there were very like naturally crafty, and they were all telling me these great ideas of how they were going to hang them up in frames and make one of the ladies had made 3 little vision boards and was going to make them into like a little mini gallery wall in her office. You can
Wow.
put them. Some people like to do multiple vision boards. So instead of doing like one sort of generic vision board, they'll do like a finance vision board, a health vision board, a travel vision board.
Nice.
And if you do those on like a little 8.5 by 11, you can just punch holes in it and stick it in a binder. So you have it. The other thing you can do is you can make little itty bitty ones like on an index card, and you can stick that in your planner or your purse or your car
That's a good
or your
idea.
mirror. Yeah. So you just have it in front of you at all the times. It just, like, what you don't want to do is make a vision board and then roll it up and stick it in your closet and forget about it.
Yeah,
So
that's
wherever
true.
you're going to see it the most, I see mine the most when it's in my planner because that's what I probably have my hands on every day.
That's a good idea. So have you done the vision boards with your kids before?
My daughter just did one the other day at a class I was teaching. I brought her and had her do one. and it was so cute. I've tried to make them do them before with limited success, but it's a really, really, really good activity for kids. It's just like for me,
Yeah.
my kids in particular, they see me doing this all the time. This is like my job, and I'm always recruiting them to help me with things for the blog. And so they have like very low level interest in helping me and doing things that I tell them like, hey, would you guys make vision boards with me? They're like, Mom, no. But when I took Claire to a class and she made one, she went crazy on it. It was so cute and she did a great job. I think it's a
Aw.
really, really, really great activity for kids. I actually have a vision board template for kids that's going to come out in a couple weeks on my blog, and it's really cute.
Oh,
And it's the same thing, like it's
perfect.
so guided, right? That any child can sit down and it says like where I want to go. They can find a picture of somewhere they want to go and put it on there. It's really kid friendly.
I would think that would be a good idea to do before the summer
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
Like maybe like a summer bucket
Yes.
list, and even for the parents, just to kind of have some kind of routine or guide for the summer, because it passes so fast and then you're like, oh well, what did we do all
I
summer?
know.
Oh,
That
okay.
is such a good idea for summer. 'Cause I did make the kids write lists last summer before they got out of school, or when they got out of school. Like, tell me everything you want to do. Put it on paper. Like, if you just say it to me, I'm going to forget it. So write it down. And so we did do lists, but that would be really cute to do, like a cute little summer vision board. That's a great idea.
That's a good idea. Well, let's switch gears a little
Yeah.
bit. Let's talk about planners. I know you have the cutest and the most amazing planners out there. You can find that at carriel.com, right?
Shop.carryout.com. Yeah.
Oh, shop. Okay. Shop carriel.com.
They get you to the same place eventually, but
Oh, okay. Well, I know that you love them, and I love paper planners as well. My husband makes fun of me because he's in IT, and he's like, "Why can't you just get it all digital?" And I do have stuff online,
yeah.
but there's something about a paper planner to me and writing and marking things off that I just love. What are the benefits of using them, and how often? I guess I want to know, like, how often do you use yours? How many hours are you spending? Are you doing meal planning, finance? Are you doing it all in this one planner?
Not everything in one planner, no. So like you said, what I like about it is writing it down, checking off my list, and just the feel of paper. I love paper, but I feel more connected to what I'm doing and to my week and to kind of planning everything when I write it down versus just putting it in my phone or. Also, I don't want to be on my phone all the time. And so I feel like I like to be able to put my phone down and walk away and not have to be constantly on it, scheduling everything. So
Amen.
yeah, it's just too much. So what and that's kind of like a tricky question because how much time I spend actually like planning and organizing my week versus how much time I spend like decorating my planner and making it look pretty and extra are two different things. But I would say as far as like how much time I actually spend using my planner as a functional planning tool, it's probably less than an hour a week. Keep it pretty streamlined what I use it, how I use it. And that includes my meal planning, my regular planner. And the only thing that would maybe add to that would be budgeting, because I think budgeting, is just a beast and takes more time than
Oh,
other
it
things.
is. And it takes planning with your spouse as
Yes.
well, if you have a
And
spouse, because you
yeah,
gotta be on the same page.
yeah, you have to be on the same page and then you have to follow through. And with a budget, you have to be on top of it like all the time. But as far as like planning out my week and meal planning, it probably only takes me about an hour. And then I check
Okay,
it.
that's
Yeah,
great.
what I do is I do it all on Sundays. So on Sunday, okay, I'll back one step. So if something pops up on my calendar, or if there is an event that I have to go to, or something that I need to do or schedule, I write it down on my monthly page of my monthly calendar page. If I schedule a play date with the kids, if the kids have practice, if I have a work event, anything like that, I just write it down on my monthly, the big layout for the month. Then on Sunday, I look at my weekly layout and I go back and I see everything I've written down on the big monthly layout, and I just plug those into the right places. And I'll add in a little bit of a to-do list for the week, and then I'll meal plan. And so during the week, I'm writing things down as they come up. And if I don't have something to write in, so if I'm out and about and I make plans with somebody and I don't want to forget, I just shoot myself an email with that information, because I go through my emails pretty consistently. And then when I get to that email, I will write it in my planner.
That's very similar to what I do. I do the same thing. I love the monthly view and then the weekly view. So that's That's a good idea. Okay, I know you mentioned meal planning, and you also have a lot of meal planning recipes on your website, correct?
Yes.
What are your biggest meal planning like secrets or hacks or tips? Because that overwhelms me at times and it's not my favorite thing to do, but I'm
Yeah.
forcing myself to do it on Sundays. What tips do you have to somebody like me?
So, okay, for someone like you who is also someone like me, and the reason that I have meal planners and meal planning tips is because like I didn't come into this meal planning until till not that long ago, a few years ago. And you know how it gets at dinner time. You have little kids. It's hard. The husband might be coming home from work at the same time as the kids are melting down. And that's where I was a few years ago. And I was like, okay, this has to stop. I have to get some, I have to figure this
That is
out.
you are describing my life right
Yeah.
now. It's like a meltdown, the witching hour.
Yes, yes, totally. It's the worst. And so I thought, well, okay, what can I do? So I started meal planning, and that really relieved so much of it. So, but not everyone likes to do it. I don't like to do it really. So what I do is I keep it super simple. I don't come up with 7 gourmet dinners every week. Like we just don't do that. That's too much, right? I might do like 4 or 5 recipes. They're almost always things that we have had before. I might do like one new recipe a week. I try not to do a bunch of new stuff the same week because that's too much. You don't know how it's going to turn out, and that's stressful.
See, I think that was my problem is I started meal planning and I did all new recipes like the whole week. And by recipe 3 when I, butchered it, I was defeated.
You're like, I'm over it. Take out. Oh, that's how it is. Totally how it is.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
husband, go through the
Yes.
drive-through.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. So we know we're going to eat out once or twice a week. So I'll put that on the meal plan that we're going to eat out. So we leave it open to be
Oh,
flexible.
good.
Yeah, totally. Like it does not have to be a home cooked meal every night at all. And also if you don't know, like if you have all your meals planned, but there's a couple empty spots, it's okay to leave those flexible. The other thing that we do is Charles and I, my husband and I, we usually kind of mix it up a little bit about who's cooking. So it's not like I'm cooking all these meals every night or he's cooking. Well, he cooks a lot. He likes to cook, but we try to mix it up so we're not doing it every single, so we're not one person just doing all the cooking.
Love that.
Yeah, so that's helpful too. And then whenever you can find a recipe that the whole family likes that makes good leftovers, that is a keeper. And like for us, it's spaghetti and meat sauce. It's so easy and everybody likes it. Nobody cries or complains about dinner, and then we can have it again the next day too. And it's totally okay
Oh,
to
I love
repeat your
that.
meal plans. Yeah, it's just finding something that's simple that works for your family and not feeling like you have to be this elaborate chef every night.
Oh, I love that. That's great. Okay, well we've covered goal setting, we've covered vision boards, meal planning, everything it seems like. In your book, I want to switch it up a little bit and talk about imposter syndrome
Yeah.
because I think as modern day women, we
Mhm.
have a lot on our plates and when we don't do it all or we can't get to it all, we kind of shut down and some of us,
Mhm.
aka me,
Yeah, yeah, I hear
we
you.
have a little bit of a pity party
Yeah.
mode and it's fine, but how have you dealt with this and do you have any tips of getting over this imposter syndrome
So
where we beat ourselves up?
yeah, we do this all the time where we think that we're not good enough, and it's really hard for all the reasons you said. And then also right now we have to throw into the mix that we have Instagram and Pinterest, right? So we see
Yes,
everybody, and like I'll be the first to tell you, my Instagram feed, like that's not what it looks like in my house. That's not my life. This is the content that I'm bringing to you, and I'm presenting to you, in the best way that I can. I do try to do stuff in my stories about like my hot mess life, but my
I love
actual
that.
Instagram feed, right, is a pretty pork recipe that looks really beautiful because I staged it that way. It's not what it looks like when my family's actually eating it. I mean, it tastes good, but it's not, staged in a pretty kitchen
Yeah, that's not
surrounded
real life.
by
Yes,
condiments. So we have this sort of thing where we're seeing what other people are doing or what we think other people are doing, and that's really can be challenging. And I think that like most of us, or myself, I would say I have one foot in it all the time. Like, oh, am I good enough? Am I doing this enough? Am I look at what everybody else is doing? Look how much content this person's putting out. Look at how much time this person spends at the park with their kids. Where do I? That's not me. But I think like a good thing about getting older is that it's easier for me to let go of that and be like, you know, it's okay. That's fine. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to do the best that I can do with what I have, and that's fine. And that that's fine. That's what we have to tell ourselves that constantly, I think. Just do the best you can with what you have. And if you're sincerely doing the best you can with what you have, that's totally enough. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, I think social media has definitely amplified the perfectionism syndrome, and that we all got to be doing this and that, and oh, that person's life is so perfect, but it really is a highlight reel of everyone's lives, and we
Yeah.
need to have that in the back of our heads for sure.
And I think too, you can get rid of it. You don't have to stay on it if you don't like it. Like my Facebook,
Exactly.
I'll tell you a great app that I use for Facebook. It's called Kill Facebook Feed. And
Ooh.
yeah, so like when I go on Facebook now, and it's not that it wasn't for me, Facebook, that just, it wasn't like, oh, everybody's showing it wasn't even the highlight reel of that, right? It was just like trying to keep up with everybody and feeling like there's so much going on and so much happening. And I just thought, this is too much. Like if I could get off Facebook completely, I would, but I have a lot of work stuff on there that I do. And there are things that I like about it too. There are things that it's good for, right? So now I don't have a Facebook feed at all. When I go on my desktop, it just shows me like there's nothing. It's gray where the Facebook feed normally is.
Oh my gosh.
So I see
I definitely need this.
It's amazing. So you will see all of your notifications and you will see all of your groups and all of that, but you won't see what everybody is posting. The only thing that's super annoying about it is that like my mom and everybody, oh, did you see what so-and-so's doing on Facebook? I'm like, nope. And so I feel like people are always trying to tell me what they saw on Facebook. And I'm like,
so that's a great way to cut down on the comparison game and just stay in your lane and focus. Yep. And I do feel like Facebook and any social media, and I do social media for 3 clients, so I have to be on social media for that reason alone and for the blog. But I do feel like it's a time suck, and that can also derail us of our goals and everything like that. So that is a great resource. Can you name that again?
It's Kill Facebook Feed. I'm pretty sure I can double check on that and find it.
Okay, we'll put it in the show notes, and I'll definitely use that, and I bet I will be a lot more productive.
Yeah,
it's like a black hole.
It is like a black hole, and then you get on there, and it's just there's, and then when do you stop liking and commenting on people's stuff, And so now I just tell everybody, I'm not on Facebook. I didn't see it. No, I didn't see it. I don't know. Sorry. But I am on Facebook. I manage my groups and I manage my pages, and I communicate in that way with the people that I want to communicate with regularly.
Exactly. So we don't have to send out a search party for you.
Yeah.
My mom would be like, why are you not liking any of my photos? Are you okay, honey? As we wrap it up, I got 2 more questions left. What does it mean to you? Because this podcast is all about us finding joy and letting go some of the stress in our lives. What does it mean to you to live a good life?
I think one thing that I've learned, like in the last few years especially, that if I can be present, everything is better. And so I've been working a lot on being present, and I found that kind of anything that I'm doing is, if I'm present, it becomes better. So even the things that I hate doing, which makes my whole life feel better. But the things that I love to exercise, I love to travel, I love to read, I love my horse, and obviously my family hopefully goes without saying. And so all of those things, when I have those things, everything just feels very complete and full. And then when I practice presence and gratitude, it magnifies that and next levels that. And that's kind of where I'm at right now with what makes my life the best life it can be.
Oh, I love that. And that's something that we can all work on. I know, especially with social media and all the distractions and notifications going off, even parenting with your kids and having your phone around. I mean, it's such a challenge, but I love that you're taking steps to be more present. That's genius. Where can we follow you?
You can find me at carriel.com. That's where all of my printables and recipes are. And then you can find me on my favorite social media accounts, which are my Instagram, Carrie L blog. And that's where I do Texas, travel, and food. Mostly healthy-ish food. And then my printables and shop are at Shop Carrie L on Instagram. Actually, those are my Facebook pages as well, the same names.
Perfect. Well, thank you for being on. And if you guys want any more show notes or resources, I will put that on the website, shelivespodcast.com, and just click on this episode and you'll head right over to carriel.com.
Thank you for listening to today's show. Make sure to visit our website, shelivespodcast.com, where you can subscribe to never miss a show. Find us on social at She Lives Podcast. While you're at it, If you loved today's episode, please take a moment to share with your friends and family and leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Talk soon.